Hey journal friends, welcome to a journal with me video. This was highly requested and a lot of you guys are, asking to see my process, what it looks like step by step and in real time. So I'm going to show you kind of thought process I have when creating my spreads and just kind of going with the flow. So right here I have like a bundle of paper goods that I like to keep. I store a lot of these paper bits because you never know how you can use them in the future. And this is just something I grab for when I don't have anything in my head, if I don't have anything that I can think of at the time to, create on my own. So I turn to these paper scraps for bits of inspiration. I actually have a few of these. These are just, this bundle is more of my neutral color scraps. So I'm going to go ahead and go through these scraps here. And I think about my foundation. So am I going to keep the paper white? Am I going to paint on it? It's just going to be like blank in certain spots. So what I want to do and what I've been trying to do is just use up all of my stationery and paper goods. So if you have a paper bag or if you have some like craft paper, recycled paper, feel free to play along and use that, because this is what I have here. It is a craft paper that I got with one of my orders. So I know I'm going to use this as my foundation, as the base here. So I'm going to play off of this and find some neutral looking paper to match with that. So as I go through my little stash, I kind of look at all of the stickers and the clip outs that I use. Oh, I like this. Okay, I think I'm probably let's see. For this particular spread, I am going to, in my mind, I imagine I'm going to paint over it. So it doesn't have to be exactly pretty paper. It just has to be some type of paper that I can paint, that I can use as a neutral base and then paint over, but you could still see kind of like the earth tone hues. So sometimes what I do, if I'm not sure, my mind's a little indecisive, I will just pull out whatever kind of calls for that, whatever calls to be used. I think that's it. Okay. I think I'm just going to go ahead and use these bits right here. Ooh, what is this? Beware of misinformation. Ooh, I think I might. I think I'm going to use that. Okay, so I'm going to put these away. Now let's get started with the process. Now, being that this is going to be the base, I'm going to go ahead and rip this up because I'm going to use scraps of paper and you're going to see what I'm going to do. It's going to look more like a collage. So just kind of going to eyeball where I want these to go. And I think I'm going to make this smaller. I don't really like this uniformed look, how it's straight on the edge. So I'm going to go ahead and tear that so it has that ripped look. That part's okay. And then I'm going to do it like this. Okay, so I think that's what I'm going to start with. That could always change. Maybe I'll do another one right here. My mind changes all the time from second to second, so I really enjoy this process because it kind of stimulates your imagination. Reminds me of like a jigsaw puzzle, kind of playing with the configuration and thinking of ways to make these pieces work. Sometimes I keep these too because then I could add little bits later. I'm not kidding when I say I'm a I'm a hoarder. I just keep any little bit that I can. So I think I like that there. And then I'm gonna go over some of my other neutral pieces of paper. Let's see. Okay, that looks a little too big. So I can always glue this like that. Some of the pieces, if a lot of the parts are going to be covered, instead of wasting it, I will just rip it so that way I can use some of this for another part of the spread. So I'm just imagining what it would look like if I glued this down and added this. Okay, so I think I like that right there. I really like this part, so I'll probably, oh, I think I like it like that. And then let's see what other pieces I have. I have some of this. I like the bold red stripes on there, but it kind of clashes with the neutral pieces. Maybe, let me think. Oh, actually that would look good right there. See what I mean? It's kind of fun, like using these as little puzzle pieces. So before I actually glue these down, I place these loosely onto my journal spread, just imagining how it would look. And then sometimes I sit on it for a couple minutes. Sometimes, you know, I'll have breakfast and come back to it. But most of the time, it's pretty solid. I'll just let it stick because I'm trying to learn to trust my first artistic intuition and not to overthink things and, you know, try to eliminate the need of being perfect. I really like this floral design. Think I will, what do you think? Should I go like that or should I go like this? Or maybe I could do both. I think what I'll do, I will clip this. So what have you been up to? How is your journaling practice going? Has your style changed for 2020? Because I know mine has. I have been experimenting with different things and trying new ways, and it's just so interesting how this new year has, I want to say, revealed different parts of ourselves. Wouldn't you agree? Has that been your experience? Excuse my dogs if you hear them in the background. They bark at any little car that goes by. Okay, so I think I'm pretty content with the way that looks. This white piece, I really like the ink splatters. I think I'm going to use this for when I finish gluing these down, and maybe I can write on here. So the next step I'm going to use is gluing them down with some glue stick. Oh, actually, you know what? See what I mean? Like my mind changes. Oh, I didn't even know. I forgot I had that there. Okay. This is really, really nice. I like this. So I think I'm going to use this on the corner, and then I'm going to, I kind of like it like that. I like this floral design, so I'll probably just, let me just rip that. Do the edge like this. Okay, now I really like the way that turned out. And if there's some blank spots right here, don't worry. I'll show you what I do in the later time. It's just a really easy fix with some paint. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and glue this down now. What I typically do, I do one side at a time. So I'll leave this as is, and then I'll focus on this layer by layer. Now, looking at the way it's laid out, I see that these are going to be the starters. So I'm going to have to lay this down because this will get layered here with these other two pieces. So I'm going to start with that, but so that way I can remember how I have it, I just kind of lift them in place and then just kind of push them aside like this, and then put it right here, and then I'll go ahead and start with the first step. I'm not sure how long this video is going to be, so you can feel free to speed it up. There's an option, I know with YouTube you can do like double the speed or 2 times the speed, so feel free to do that, or I might have to make this in a 2-step video depending on how long the spread takes. I think that's another reason why I am a little hesitant to do these journal with me videos, because I know that people's attention span isn't that long, and these spreads, as easy as it may look in the final outcome, they take me a long time, but that's part of my therapeutic like routine. It's very relaxing to me. I just kind of sip my coffee and watch YouTube or listen to music while I do these, or sometimes I just sit in my own thoughts. So if you're wondering why I never share these journal with me types of videos, that's why, because they're really long and I don't think people would want to sit through this process in real time. So, but I'm just gonna pretend you and I are just having coffee, enjoying this little journal with me session together, as if we were here in real time, because unfortunately with this year things have been a little different and changed. Okay, so you're seeing I'm gluing these strips right on top of each other, and there's going to be some of these glue marks, which I don't really care for, because I'm going to, I mean, I don't care, not that I don't care for them, but I don't care because I'm going to paint over it. So, okay, so I think, how did I do this? Like that, okay. So, being that this is the next layer, I'm going to just glue this down. So my journaling style has changed. Oh my gosh, let me tell you, it has changed in so many ways, and I think that's another reason why I haven't been posting that many videos, because I mean, I've changed, I'm sure you've changed, our ideas, our visions have changed. So I have been really good at not buying a lot of material things, including stationery bits. Really just enjoying using up what I have around my home and within my collection, but in doing so, it has revealed some very creative ideas and spreads that I probably would have never thought of had I not been isolated this year, and kind of forced to find alternatives, or forced to just use what I have because of stores closing or whatever the reason may be. And so with these new spreads, I've been inspired to start many new journals. I've finished quite a few. I know this isn't new news for my Patreon members, but for those on my channel, I have lots of journal pages that are, I don't want to say they're out of the box or like out of my usual style, because you know, style evolves, it changes, but I notice that it's a lot different than what it was last year or even the beginning of this year. I've really been into, would you call it mixed media? I don't know if that's a thing. I just call it maybe just not even scrapbooking. I don't know what I would call this. I don't want to put a label to this newfound style that I have, but it's different but fun, and I'm excited to see where this road takes me. Now with this spread, what I'm trying to do is layer these pieces so that way I have a nice little layered effect, and it doesn't look too, you know, perfect. The goal is to kind of make it look like patches of scrap pieces anyway. It doesn't have to have like a uniformed look. Now that I'm almost done here, let me see, where did I have this? Oh, I think I messed up. I think I had this over. Yikes. Okay, that's okay. I think I'm almost done. So I'm going to use this, and you know what? I think I'm going to use parts of that right there. Oh, that looks perfect. So this is pretty much what I do. I spend like, what, 20 minutes playing around with the layout of the design. I try not to, oh, I kind of like this. I try not to have other art videos playing in the background because I want to bounce off of my own imagination and my own ideas. I realize that if I have other people's like journal with me's playing along with me trying to create, then I get distracted. And that's just me personally. I get distracted and I kind of want to incorporate some of, you know, maybe the tools that they recommended or they used. Or, oh, my dog was begging for snacks. So where did I leave off of? Oh yeah, so I just try not to play any other videos in the background or like art videos, because then I'll want to do what they did, or I'll stop what I'm doing and then try to recreate or use some of their examples within my own spread. So another thing, speaking of distractions, another thing that I have been doing is limiting my time on social media. I have been pretty much pretty much not been on there. I don't really scroll through the pages that I follow or the feed, because that has been a time sucker for me, and it's taking away time that I could be creating my art. And yeah, my goal and my promise to myself is to try to honor my creative artistic self by putting myself first and not living through other people's online life. So okay, that is what this looks like. See how easy it was? The next process that I'm going to do, I really like this, but I know I'm going to want to paint on top of it. So the next goal is to make this into like a blank canvas. I have some white paint that I'm just gonna kind of dab throughout here. You can use acrylic, watercolor. This is just going to be some gouache, and then I have like this flathead brush. I'm gonna get it wet right here and then just kind of lightly go over the spread. See, this is what I'm talking about, where you don't have to make it look perfect, because we were going to paint over it and this was going to be like the foundation. So, but it has this beautiful layered effect, and I just kind of flow with the paint. I don't really think too much of of how it's going to look. So if it has some missing parts there, I just leave it because it adds to the general effect. I really like that, so I'm going to try not to cover it too much with this white paint, because that was the whole reason why I clipped it out. So I might go over it lightly, but some of the edges I try to cover. Let me just wipe some of that off. Oops, now I just kind of made it. Okay, so let me fix that. I'm just going to get some of the water and then just get some of that. We'll just go like that. See how fun it can be just going with the flow? You learn as you go. Okay, so this is going to be the end of this video, part 1. I'm going to let this dry, and then I'm going to come back showing you the rest of this journal with me video. Okay, so welcome back from our little coffee break. Here is how this page looks dried up. You can see the fine layers here, and the paint has that nice canvas look to it. The next step that I'm going to do for this is to add some color. Now the color that I want to stick with again is going to be more neutral base, so it's going to be like my my gray, my browns, a little bit of the little ochre yellow. And I'm not going to completely paint this page, but kind of fill in like those little gaps here. Remember earlier this part didn't have any paper. This is where you can just go ahead and fill it in. And we're not being perfect with this. Just splash it on and do it intuitively. This is the fun part, just not having any worry. You know, create like a kid. Don't spend too much time thinking about how it's going to turn out, because in the end it will all blend in beautifully. So I got a little bit of the yellow here. What I want to do now is mute it out a little bit with some of this brown mixture that I have, and I'm going to get this kind of wet so that way it's a little bit more fluid. This is my favorite part. Well, this is more of my favorite art technique, is this collage look. This collage look with scraps of paper, because it feels like I'm recycling. Instead of throwing away paper bits that I have, I can just repurpose them and turn them into beautiful pieces of art. Sometimes when these pieces look like they have too much going on, then I just go through with a napkin and I dab it, and it adds like a nice little effect here too. So you learn all these techniques as you create more, which is what I've been enjoying these last few months, just learning a new process, a new way, a new creative me. And one way that I have been kind of revealing and pushing, or unlayering, if you will, the hidden creative side, is not feeling pressured to post this on social media when there are no expectations of presenting anything. Then everything comes together just naturally and organically, which is what I'm striving for. So okay, now that I kind of have this little vintage look to it, I'm going to add maybe some letterings. Right here, this part, I noticed that my paper is lifting. So I'm going to go ahead and get this strip, or maybe I could use some tissue. Let's see. Ooh, that would look nice. I wonder if I got some tissue here, how would that look? I've never done this before. I just kind of thought of this on the whim. Okay, so let's see if I got some tissue. Oh, I really like how that looks. That's pretty. So that way it kind of hides, you see this part, it's kind of cracking because I just used my glue stick, and that's okay. But I think what I'm going to do is use some Mod Podge, get some of that on here. Let's see how that's going to look. I'm going to do it in the spine. Oh, I'm excited for this technique. You see what I mean? When you don't have any expectations for your spread, trust me, the art will speak to you. It will reveal how it wants to come out onto the page. So I really like how it looks. I think I'm going to add another layer. So let me go ahead and cut another piece here. Who would have thought that my little raggedy napkin that I use to blot my watercolors would contribute to this art piece? Okay, so let's see. I'm going to quickly get that down. Oh, I really like that. Okay, so I'll seal this. And this Mod Podge, if you're not familiar with what it is, it's like a liquid form of adhesive. So kind of imagine like Elmer's glue, but in this liquid form, and it will seal this in. It comes out clear. I really like using this brush. See, this whole process, like the strokes and the painting, this is like my meditative state. This is what I look forward to every day. So when a few of you ask, like, how can I stick with, you know, the practice of journaling, find a process that works for you, whether it's painting, writing, sketching, you know, maybe just sticking on stickers, planning, anything that your creative soul cries out for, kind of go for that. And everything else will follow. So okay, I really like how that turned out. I will clip that out later once it dries. So that now what I'm going to do, I'm going to rinse this off in the sink because I don't want it to dry up the bristles on here. So that's a little tip. Rinse this as soon as you can, but before this dries, I'm curious to know what it would look like if I blotted some paint on here before it dries up. Oh, I really like this. You guys, oh my gosh, I'm so excited for this. This is so much fun. But you see how the layers just add to this pretty overall look? We have like the scraps of paper beneath, and then we have the white paint with this napkin. Oh my gosh, who would have thought? Okay, so as you can see, I'm not really putting any thought into this because I'm just overly excited. I'm trying to hurry up and get this on here before the napkin dries because I like kind of like this fluid look. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and dry this with my hair dryer because I'm very impatient and I don't want to wait for it to dry. And I think I kind of like how this looks. Let me get the little edges right there, and we will dry this up. This is almost done. But yeah, when you find a notebook that you love using, you will just have so much fun finding different techniques, and you won't even care about paper quality or if it will hold up. You'll just find out in time. Oh my gosh, this is so beautiful, you guys. Oh, so excited. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and rinse this off and dry this with a blow dryer, and then I'll show you in my natural light how this looks before we complete the spread. Okay, so tell me that this doesn't look beautiful. I am so happy with the results. This is how it looks in my natural sunlight. So I'm by my window because I wanted to show you all of these beautiful textures. So right here, you can see the layers of the paper with the white paint on top and the splashes of the second paint that we watered down with this napkin that we glued into the middle of the spine. I love these little wrinkled effects here. This just came out better than I imagined, so I wanted to give you a clearer picture of how it looks before we add the final step. So this is how this will turn out if you play along. And I think I kind of like it like this, but okay, let's go on to the next step. Okay, so the question is, are we done? Are we done yet? You know, I don't know. I just kind of, when I do these type of spreads, I just know when it's finished. And while I could stop here, as this would make a great foundation, you can scan and save this because I really do like how this turned out. I'm just ripping the tissue here off the edge. But I know that there's more to this page and it's not complete. So I probably should be cutting this, but I'm just trying to quickly finish this video because I know we're probably over, what, 40 minutes long? Okay, so what I know I am going to do is add a quote right here on the bottom. So the quote is going to fit perfectly because it has some of this white patch from the white paint. So this is going to be my canvas piece. I'm going to use my alpha stamps right here and stamp out my quote, but I still want to add a nice layering effect, and I feel like this is kind of blah. It needs a little bit more pop. So I'm going to go back to my paper scraps and rip out another piece of this paper, my craft paper, and add a little bit more dimension to this. So I'll leave that there, and then I'll probably Okay, so remember this earlier from my paper little scrap? I really liked this. Beware of misinformation. I think it said like spreading. I found it in some junk mail, so keep those because sometimes they have some letterings or colors that you could add to your art journal. Not all trash is trash. It can be turned into beautiful art treasures. So I'm going to use this wording, but because I don't want it to blend in with the spread, I'm going to yeah, probably add some acrylic. And I think I want a little bit of the acrylic beneath here. So let me eyeball this. I'm going to use my hands because that's kind of what I do most of the time. I should be using a brush, but oh well, this is just quicker. So I'm kind of gonna eyeball where I want it. Okay, I think that's where I'm gonna have it. So I'll just continue on with the white acrylic, just smearing it there. And then this isn't my glue, but I'm just gonna kind of temporarily place it there. Oh, I like how the napkin adds like a nice little crackle effect. Okay, so that is what I'm gonna do. Ooh, I kind of like that. Okay, let's rub the remains here, and then right here on this edge I'm gonna want a little bit more of a dimensional pop. See how more vibrant this white is compared to the one I used earlier for layering, just because it was watered down. So yeah, okay, I think I like it like this. I'm just gonna smear some of the excess white because I don't want to waste it. So now that I have this, I can go ahead and work on my lettering stamps. That's going to take me a while, so I'm not going to keep you on this video for that, but I'll pop back in once my quote is on here, and I'm going to glue this on, and I'll show you hopefully the last step that we're going to do. Now that I have my quote stamped on here, it says, "Only those that have ears to listen will hear their calling." So some days I kind of sit on this and I will think about how I can complete it. I don't really pressure myself to finish everything all at once because then I kind of feel like the overall look was forced. So I kind of let things unravel naturally, but looking at this, I can see right away there's some empty spaces on the bottom and on the top. Generally, this is also perfect for those that maybe don't have a large stationery stash or that don't have a lot of paper bits or stickers to work with. This is where you can go ahead and get your pen, marker, or paint and draw on something. If you're a sketcher, I don't really consider myself a drawer. I prefer to paint. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to get a feel for what I want. Do I want to use a brush? I think I'll just go ahead and lightly. My secret is whenever there's some blank spaces and I don't know what to create, just go with some beautiful like floral designs. So I know you can't really see that marker, but that is exactly what I wanted. It's more of an outline. So I have this flesh colored Tombow pen. Now I'm going to go in with my paint and oh, I need to take a sip of water. I've been talking so long. Okay, so I don't want to go with black because I feel like that will be too dark, too bold. So the next step down would be the gray. I'm going to go ahead and get some of my gray paint. And again, this is where you can draw or sketch or add stickers or maybe more quotes or a journal entry. But for me, I want this to be the highlight, this quote. And I'm just going to gently draw on these botanical leaves that I used with that marker, kind of covering that. And it's going to fill in that white space, or that blank space that I had. And then right here I have more emptiness, which is perfect. That's exactly what I wanted with this spread. This is kind of like a foundation. I'm going to go ahead and do more botanical paintings. the theme of the flow. So now I have that added. I kind of give it a look or two, and it still looks a little empty, if you will. So I'm just going to go ahead and add some strokes in here to make it look fuller. Add some strokes, and then I want to highlight this somehow. I'm going to use my pencil. You see, this is why I'm not sure. Be careful what you guys ask for, okay? You want these journal with me's, and look how long this is getting. I'm going to add a little arrow to bring attention to beware of misinformation. Right here, I think I'm going to lightly use my pencil, and I'm going to highlight or underline this quote. It may be coming off faint through the camera, but when I finish, I'll show you outside in the natural light how everything looks. I'm just kind of showing you the tools that I'm using. Sometimes when that doesn't pop, if you will, I'll use some pen. So I'm just gonna use a little bit of this. Again, this is just all going with the flow. If I don't like how the pen looks, sometimes I can smear it with a little bit of the water, depending on what type of ink you use. And then while it's still kind of wet, it'll smear slightly, not too much. But I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And then I still need some pop. I'm gonna go over this with oil pastel like that, and then just finish it off, I think, like this. Okay. How would it look if I added some green? Ooh, not too bad. Okay. You know, and if there's something that I don't like, my little technique is I always just smudge it. So if it doesn't, I don't really care for that green, but I'm gonna go back and smudge it a little bit with the water so it looks a little it looks a little better. Now it looks artistic. So I think this finalizes the spread. Again, I can always go back to this if I don't like the way it turned out, but I think this is pretty much complete. I'm gonna let it sit and rest. Maybe I'll come back to it in a couple days, in a couple weeks, or maybe I'll just leave it alone. Again, the creative muse will let me know what it wants to do. So let's go ahead and take this outside so you can get a finalized look. But you know what, now that I see this green, I probably have to do it on this side here too. It's kind of irking me that I only did the green on one side. So I think I'm gonna add a little, maybe I'll just spread this a little bit more. I kind of like the green now because it goes with the earthy tone. Okay, maybe that's what I'll do here. Spread it a little. Remember what I said earlier in this video? I can be somewhat indecisive, so that's exactly what you're seeing here. Just me being indecisive. And I'm just gonna smudge a little bit. You can use your fingers, but I like to use my paintbrush just to add a little bit more water. Okay, I think that is done, and then I will take this outside to show you the final outcome. Oh, also, if you have any stamps, you can use that too. So I just have this little stamp of this plant. I'll probably just add it over here and see how it comes out. Oh, it didn't even show. Hold on, let's do this again. Make sure I have enough ink. Okay, maybe I'll add it right here in this corner. It could be that the page is still wet. I didn't probably press down hard enough. Oh, there we go. Okay, I think I'm going to do it again on this side. Oh, maybe I'll just do a little, there we go. I kind of like the layering effect. Ooh, I like that. Okay. Kind of a brush on look. This was so random. Well, I'm glad you were here to capture the moments with me. I think that is pretty much done. I think I'm complete. Don't want to go overboard. All right, so let's go ahead and take this outside and we'll get a better look of the results here. So let's take a look at the final outcome of this spread. I am so happy with the way that it turned out with this natural kind of tone. You can see here is where I had, let's take a closer look. Here are the layers that I added with the paper strips and the paint with my alpha stamping, all of these beautiful textures. I am just living for this, so beautiful. And what I love most about this is that it was totally random. I mean, you saw my whole, 50 minute process. I love the way that this middle came out with the napkin, and then here is my painted on little botanical leaf with this, and then some of the pencil sketching on here. So yeah, I don't know if I'm going to add to this. For now, I'm going to keep it as is because again, I don't want to force the process, but I really like how this turned out. And this is just a general idea of how my collage and foundation spreads are created. It's just layers on top of layers on top of coffee thoughts and more layering. So thanks for hanging in there. If you watched out this whole video, if you like more of these journal with me videos, I don't know if I'm going to share more on my Seaweed Kisses YouTube channel, just because I know most of you guys don't subscribe for these type of artsy clips. I share most of these on my Patreon, so feel free to sign up. I will be having lots more of these journal with me's and DIY crafty spreads for your viewing pleasure. So until next time, I will see you when I see you. Bye.